I'm Jake.
And I'm Christine.
And this is part 2 of our promos, ads, commercials, whatever you want to call them, review. Last week we left off with a Dr. Pepper movie tie-in commercial with Godzilla of 1985. Now we're going to continue it here with the second Godzilla tie-in commercial.
Thank God you found another one. Here, drink this. So wait, is it an American commercial or is it?
Godzilla 1985 was... I think it was made by Japanese filmmakers, but it got a major release in the United States. And it was marketed pretty big, and it was a very mixed film. It got nominated for a few Razzies. People thought it was stupid. Mm-hmm. And the Dr. Pepper tie-in was a big thing at the time. I've seen Godzilla 1985, and I don't remember much of it other than it was fun. You get what you paid for. Godzilla wrecking models. But yeah, I like this commercial. It's funny. Lady Godzilla, and they're brought together through Dr. Pepper. And this is just a side thing. I think it's funny how, like, it appears to be in a Tokyo-ish setting, but you can see there's one white woman there. And that's kind of similar to what a lot of giant monster movies did, and even Godzilla 1985 itself. It was made up of primarily an Asian cast, but not all of them, but a few of them would have one Caucasian actor in the cast. Mm-hmm. Just so it would, as they saw it, appeal to the American audiences. For Godzilla, it was Raymond Burr. And because I feel you can't just do one soda commercial and then move on, here's another celebrity commercial. This one for Pepsi, featuring Michael Jackson. And no, this is not the one where his hair got set on fire. I'm pretty sure that one never saw the light of day. That little kid chugging that big bottle, I just think it's funny.
You're a whole new generation. You're dancing through the day. You're grabbing for the magic on the run. You're a whole new generation. You're loving what they do. I put a Pepsi in the motion, and that's your stuff in you. Hey, you're the Pepsi Generation. Girls are down, that's the thrill of the day.
It's like a Super Bowl Pepsi commercial.
I don't think it was, but it almost feels like it could be on that level. Yeah. These kids can dance. Pretty talented.
Kind of like behind.
What?
This guy was a little behind in his dancing. Sorry.
I guess, but I'm focusing more on the red leather jacket kid.
Yes, 100%.
But anyway, yeah, Pepsi did a ton of these new generation commercials where they get celebrities to appear in them, and they even got, for one, Lionel Richie singing one of his songs. And I don't know if you noticed, but what he's saying here, you're the Pepsi Generation. It's a parody of his song, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean.
My favorite Michael Jackson song.
And the beat was pretty good here.
Yeah,
like,
Billie Jean's awesome.
Like if you did this, maybe, you might confuse the two.
Yes. Rock my world.
Pepsi. You went from Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie to the Kardashians.
Oh god. I fucked up.
I actually saw that commercial, not when it happened, like months afterwards. I don't give a shit about the Kardashians, so I didn't bother. But while I was doing this research for commercials, I looked it up and it wasn't the worst in my opinion. Because companies banking on things in the least respectable way is not new.
No.
But yeah, this is how you do a Pepsi commercial.
Yeah.
It almost makes me want to drink it. Even though I never will. Next up is another computer commercial. Now, you said this one almost feels like it could be a Super Bowl commercial, and if it is, leave a comment down below and correct us for our stupidity. But the next commercial I'm going to show you is a Super Bowl commercial.
See, you just knew before you even knew.
And this one is considered by many to be possibly the greatest commercial ever made in terms of presentation and scale. This is the commercial for the Macintosh from 1984.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification.
She kind of looks like Red Riding Hood.
In all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of a contradictory force. Purification of force is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own curse. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Also, did that guy say, "We are the white people" at one point?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That might have been a bit much.
Yeah. Sorry.
She's just trying to stir up controversy for the sake of getting attention. Shame. But, yeah, that's the Macintosh commercial that stuck with people for so long, and this was the only time I think it really ever aired during the Super Bowl. It's a 1-minute commercial, and it stuck with a lot of people. Pretty dramatic,
Yeah.
going for the very totalitarian society approach. And everybody's made the joke about how this guy here on the screen is supposed to be Big Brother, and Apple has more or less made sure that that's become a reality. But putting that aside, it is a great commercial, and I admire it in a way. And I could be directing a commercial at some point in the near future, so I look to many, including especially this one, to really see how it's done. And guess who directed the famous 1984 commercial?
Who?
Ridley Scott, the director of Alien, Blade Runner, Gladiator, The Martian, and many more, including Exodus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Steve Jobs got Ridley Scott to direct a 1-minute commercial for them.
Nice job.
And from what I heard, this commercial costs somewhere between $300,000 and $900,000 back in the 80s. And going from computers, we now cover some video game commercials. Here's a commercial for the 1984 Atari arcade game for Star Wars. This one's pretty memorable.
Star Wars. It's great in the arcade. Time for you! Fireball! Coming right at you! Watch the laser towers. Aim for the tops. Begin the countdown. Use the force. Coming too
I wish
fast.
it got intense on video games like this.
My shields are gone. Going! I'm going in! Oh, some game, huh?
I was gonna say
In the
someone's gonna have to
galaxy
use
of
her.
video games, there is only one Star Wars, the arcade game.
It's electrifying.
From the Parker Brothers, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a fun commercial. Everybody remembers this crazy guy. And next up is a bit earlier video game from 1980 called Centipede. And just the title makes it go, This commercial is very impressive as far as just how much they're able to cram into it.
Oh, the music.
Centipede from Atari. It could change your life.
Help! Somebody call an exterminator!
You're gonna get yourself killed, dumbass. That's pretty cool. All the stock footage, all
Oh,
the
yeah.
the puppetry effects,
Oh yeah.
and some crazy humor. Waking up in bed next to a centipede.
That like threw everything at you.
Yeah, just
Humor, grossness. Blech. Funny.
I think we've covered more than enough product commercials or just stuff you could physically buy. Let's take a look at a few promo videos for TV shows.
Okay.
This here is a promo for a very popular 1980s horror anthology show called Tales from the Darkside. And this is once again, not a national, it's more of a local commercial for Boston. You ever seen Tales from the Darkside?
I have not.
It was a show where every episode was a new story, new cast. It was like the Twilight Zone, where they never kept same person more than a few times, and they're
Yeah.
usually far apart. Tales from the Darkside was kind of like that, and it was created by the late great George A. Romero. And I have some fond memories of this show. They would rerun it on the Sci-Fi Channel in the middle of the night. And while it was fun, I often found it was held back by its extremely low budget.
Yeah.
Like, most episodes almost always took place on a single set
Oh.
and never really moved, which to me kind of hurts what they could do, or what the effect they could instill in people as far as being afraid goes.
Though the dark side is always there, waiting.
You should never underestimate the powers of the human will.
Tales from the Dark Side. Delicious spine-tingling chills brought to you by the producers of Creepshow.
I told you I ain't dead so many times I'm blue in the face.
Now that's the truth.
Join us each week, if you dare, for Tales from the Dark Side.
Tales from the Dark Side, Sunday at 11:30.
A teen's death may cause changes. More at 11.
I knew I had to include this, just all the fucking irony. You're playing a promo for a horror show, presumably involving a lot of death, and then you go, a teen's death. More at 11. Just shows how drastically the tone can shift with
Yes.
television. Yeah, there were quite a few anthology horror series in the 80s. There was the Friday the 13th show, which was pretty successful. And there was also actually a Nightmare on Elm Street horror anthology show called Freddy's Nightmares. It only ran 2 seasons, and a very interesting, and not sure how well this played out, but the show actually wasn't about Freddy Krueger. Like, most episodes did not actually include him being the cause of the mayhem. Mm-hmm. It was more or less a show where Freddy was the host, and he would introduce the stories.
Oh.
Which feels like it's
a little weird.
Bit of an underkill. Mm-hmm. Like, a Freddy Krueger TV show sounds awesome, but if I wanted to see a Freddy Krueger show, I'd prefer it be one where he is the cause of all the havoc.
Yeah.
There are worlds inside our minds, worlds of peace and beauty. But when our minds wander too far, we lose control and enter the dark, deadly world of Freddy Krueger, where nightmares come alive. Experience this world every week on Freddy's new television series, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the series Freddy's Nightmares. Don't let him catch you sleeping.
Freddy the host is only shown once. Okay, that is actually intriguing.
Yeah, that actually looks like it could have a bit of a good creepy vibe to it. And here's another trailer for Freddy's Nightmares, but in more of a comedic approach.
Let Freddy Krueger turn your dreams into his nightmares.
Freddy's Nightmare. Tonight on THL 13.
Catchy song.
I had too much to drink. That's a fun song.
Dream!
And those effects they showed with Freddy Krueger coming out of like the boiling water, people screaming, grab the girl's ass. That looked fun. But yeah, it only lasted 2 seasons, and it's developed quite a following over the years. And not every TV show develops a following. There are some that were there and then just vanished. And this promo is for a TV show that was kind of a 30 years later sequel to a movie from the 1950s.
Oh.
This is the War of the Worlds TV show. No relation to the Tom Cruise movie.
Or the now World of the War series on HBO. That's amazing.
Well, this is for the original. And it really is meant to be a follow-up to the 1950s film, just taking place in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it actually looks kind of interesting.
In 1953, young Harrison Blackwood experienced the most shattering event of his life. Tonight, he's about to experience that event again.
What would you say if I told you that Earth was being invaded by aliens from another planet?
Now, after 30 years in captivity, alien creatures begin a new invasion, stealing human bodies for a new War of the Worlds.
These bodies protect us from detection. Until we know more, we must use the resources available to us. Our mission will succeed. We will live life immortal.
One by one, hundreds of alien creatures come alive, each to attack and inhabit its own human host.
A U.S. Army installation has been compromised. Our superiors expect credible explanations, not excuses. These things trying to take over the world. They're completely ruthless with absolutely no sense of mercy.
An elite counterforce has been handpicked. Their assignment, fight back. Their top secret mission, known only to the highest government officials.
I'm a respected astrophysicist. I'm not some kook spouting UFO stories. No, I don't mean to suggest otherwise.
Starring Jared Martin as Dr. Harrison Blackwood, Linda Mason Green as microbiologist Susan McCullough, Philip Aiken as computer expert Norton Drake, and Richard Chavez as Lieutenant Colonel Paul Ironhorse.
In 1953, bacteria forced the aliens into a state of hibernation or suspended animation. Although the bacteria stopped the aliens, I don't think it killed them. But now something has happened to wake the aliens up.
The aliens are back for a new War of the Worlds.
It actually looks like it could be a decent sequel to the 1953 movie.
Yeah.
Which, even though it's regarded as a classic, I find the 1953 War of the Worlds to be just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's got groundbreaking special effects for the time.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't really have much going for it as far as story and character.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, most of the actors I would describe as being kind of wooden.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like they're following what happened in that film pretty well in this trailer.
Yeah.
And for a 1980s TV show, looks like they had a pretty decent effects budget, or at least pyrotechnics budget.
Looks pretty legit.
Looks like they had the Miami Vice budget going for them. And like today, there's a lot of TV shows in the 80s that did not survive one season, that were canceled pretty early. I think nowadays, like, I look at some shows that just came and went, like Bad Judge. And in the 80s, we had TV shows that, without Brad Jones, I never would have known existed. This here is a promo for the 1980s action cop show, Hawaiian Heat. And to give a little context, it's about two cops from Chicago that relocate to Hawaii and just get into a whole bunch of shit while admiring the girls on the beach.
Sounds perfect!
And features in the cast renowned Japanese actor Mako or Mako or however you pronounce it.
It all started on one of those typical Midwest nights, freezing. Mac Riley got himself caught in a car chase while his buddy Andy was sitting at his side. Mac knew then it was a better place to spend the rest of his life.
Transworld Airlines, I was reading in the paper about a special fare that you have to Hawaii.
He just had to convince his best buddy Andy. At last, a holiday paradise.
This is a golden opportunity.
It didn't take long to make friends or enemies.
I thought we were supposed to be relaxing!
Now I know what you're thinking. What kind of job could two ex-cops from Chicago expect to find in Hawaii?
Cops?
Detective work. What else? Now here on the islands, there are plenty of beautiful sights, and Hawaiian hospitality is everywhere.
You think folks will give these guys a lift to their car?
They're a long way from that car chase in the dead of winter. Hawaii is their new home.
Hey, does that mean I can buy you dinner tonight?
That's exactly what it means.
And the action gets hotter on Hawaiian Heat.
How does Hawaiian Heat look to you?
Terrible. But
Looks like it could be bad, but also kind of fun. Like the typical 80s cheese,
yes.
like MacGyver. Mm-hmm. It only lasted, I believe, 10 or so episodes, maybe a little more, but it was gone pretty fast. And the only reason people really know about it now is because Brad Jones uses this show's theme song as the main theme to his show, 80s Dan.
Oh, yes.
Somebody else's time. Some might call it a twist of fate. Some might call it a twist of fate. A lucky throw with the dice. Goodbye, lose. Got no use for you. Goodbye, lose. Kicking off our shoes.
Another show that was only at one season and then it just vanished, and I just came across this promo by chance, was a show from Fox called Women in Prison. And this is actually a comedy, and I can't describe it, just watch.
We're just gonna go after
Just when you
dinner.
think you've seen everything on television, meet the women of Cell Block J.
Okay, time for work detail. And 45 said no? You haven't said no since puberty.
The hooker, Bonnie. She does more tricks than Houdini.
I can do all sorts of things for you. Great. Be a pinata at my birthday party.
The killer, Dawn. Some men would die for her.
Why does everybody hate me? It's because you're stupid and obnoxious.
The genius, Pam. She's brains behind bars.
I remember puberty. I voted for him twice.
The thief, Eve. She banks only at night.
I happen to be looking for a position.
You found.
Not really.
You cross your legs and show a little thigh.
I can.
The princess, Vicky. No credit limit could stop her. There's nothing else like it on television. Women in Prison, a new comedy, premieres tonight.
That looks hilarious.
Could be. Now this show is easier to find than Hawaiian Heat.
I can imagine.
And I saw maybe a few minutes. Apparently this women's prison has like a coffee and like
Oh yeah,
sewing
it looks like a
machine.
diner.
Yeah. looks pretty goofy. And I do recognize one face here. Like there are a few actors, but the main thing that stuck out to me is Dawn, the black woman. That's CCH Pounder, who may remember from The Shield and as the voice of Amanda Waller from the Justice League cartoon. Yeah, she's a pretty great actress who doesn't get enough credit. She deserves so much more, and apparently this was an early role for her.
The prison warden looked also familiar.
That was Ryder Strong. He played Ryder Strong's father in Boy Meets World.
Yes.
Forget his name, but that's him. Has that cancer voice.
Yep.
So out of all those promos for shows that only lasted a few seasons or maybe just one, which one looks like it could be the most interesting to watch?
I would say women in prison. Only because maybe I'm a woman.
For me, it's the War of the Worlds one. And Freddy's Nightmares, just because I'm a horror
Oh yeah,
junkie.
I forgot about Freddy Nightmare. Totally forgot about it. I apologize. Freddy's Nightmares.
It's okay.
It's like Goosebumps. And I love Goosebumps.
I never got into Goosebumps.
What?
Never got into the books, never got into the show, just didn't happen.
Wow.
Yeah, even I can be like Christine.
Not knowing anything.
Now something I'm pretty sure most people today, even young people, have not forgot about is the video store. The place you would go to rent DVDs and even farther back in time, videotapes. And you got any fond memories of going to the video store?
I loved going to Blockbuster. We had so much fun in Blockbuster. It'd be a fight on who could get the best video game and who would get the call of the movie, and I always wanted new releases. My sister wanted comedy. I was just, loved it. Loved it.
I was never a Blockbuster guy myself. I always went to the local store here in Keene before it closed on Video Headquarters. And it was one of the few stores that Blockbuster just couldn't beat. Video Headquarters is no longer around, but it stayed many years past Blockbuster. So, suck it. But anyway, here's an old commercial for one of those stores that never heard of before until I looked up video store commercials.
If you think $2 can't buy you much entertainment anymore, take a look at what Erol's Video Club members are watching tonight. Trading Places, War Games, Michael Jackson's Thriller, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Tootsie. Membership is just $15 and lets your whole family enjoy some of the finest video entertainment available anywhere. Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night and only $1 each extra night. Visit any of the convenient Erol's Video Club soon, or look for our ad in the post.
Oh, it was always the worst when you drive by and you would forget to drop it off in the container.
Yeah, the drop box. And I found one other membership rental video commercial for this thing called Wherehouse Videos. I think that was the name, or maybe it was just Wherehouse. It's very late and I'm getting a little fuzzy. But this is from 1981, and I have some thoughts about this commercial.
All Warehouse record and video stores have a sensational video rental program. Right now, rent the movies of your choice for only $2 per movie per day. That's right, $2 per day. Hundreds to choose from, including Raging Bull, Ordinary People, Airplane, Coming Home, Fame, Superman the Movie, The Jazz Singer with Neil Diamond, or many other great movies on video at only $2 per movie per day. We're at the Warehouse.
Oh,
why not see the movies
look at
of your
that
choice
beast.
at home tonight? Movies on video, $2 per
nothing
movie
to
per day.
pass on it.
We're at the Warehouse.
Okay, first things first, $2 a day for this videotape you're renting in 1981? What the fuck? And even today in 2017, I think, that's a bit much, I think. But hey, if you love the movies, this is what you had to do back then.
I think like on demand's like $5 though. So now we're
Money, 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 renting, it's a nightmare. That's why I usually just buy stuff.
have it as many times as you want.
And while it was fun to rent movies from the store, there was always that other choice, if you could afford it every month, buying one of the cable movie channels. And here's a commercial for a short-lived channel that was trying to compete with HBO called SuperTV.
This man's scared to death to go to court. They killed her. I tried to buy it. A witness disappeared on me. I have no sympathy for you. Well, I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury decide. The verdict is in on Super TV. Call now for over 70 blockbuster movies, plus down-themed world-class boxing, concerts, simulcast in stereo, and provocative late-night adult entertainment. Call 995-1832 now.
Can't get that at the video store. Maybe I could.
Super TV.
Well, I know you couldn't get it at Blockbuster. The family video store. Even Video Headquarters had an adult section.
Really?
And
Maybe you could have. Maybe it's the ones that had like the screens in front of them.
And nowadays, if you want to see some dirty film on cable TV, just gotta wait till midnight on Cinemax. Speaking of which, while these don't technically count as commercials, I just couldn't resist, and even though the Nostalgia Critic already covered one of these, intros for like the paid-for movie channels were very fun and very creative in the 80s. Like, they got really inventive, and because my great-grandfather was big on recording stuff from HBO, I got to see a few of these creative intros.
Oh.
And first is the After Hours bumper for Showtime.
The following motion picture contains mature subject matter. Showtime recommends viewing only by mature audiences. Because of its subject matter, this particular motion picture will be presented by Showtime only after 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
Well, a lot of movie channels will play R-rated movies during the day. That whole waiting until it's at around 11 or midnight to play the TVMA stuff, that hasn't really changed.
No.
Like, I see some non-movie channels do that thing. And I just love seeing these animated introductions that they do. And Cinemax did a much more elaborate intro for their late night programming.
There's no TV like Cinemax.
It's a going to the club. So you guys are up. Cool.
Thrills. Spills.
Chills? Yes!
And romance.
Can't rhyme anything with romance. Kick it out.
Now that is a very engaging introduction. And of course, the following movie has been rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America. That's pretty close to how that narrator would say it.
You did very well. Very well.
But yeah, very creative and flashy all over the place. I just love it. And people like James Rolfe have learned a thing or two from these old bumpers for his stuff like Cinemassacre.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what would it mean if I didn't show the greatest movie channel intro of them all? The HBO intro from the early 1980s.
Yeah, HBO. Could have come out of Cinemax roller coaster. Or the AMC roller coaster. In the 80s.
Now that is how you introduce a movie on HBO.
It was like the whole build-up.
Yeah,
Loved
and
it.
just an incredible panning shot.
Yeah.
Almost feels like it's soaring through the city. And you saw that brief moment where the train or the truck drove by. Great detail, and there's actually a behind-the-scenes video on this on YouTube,
Oh, cool.
showing how they made the HBO intro. That's how much people love this intro. They want to know how they made it.
That's so cool.
Just gets you all hyped and builds it up. Just so awesome.
Nice intro. Nice job, HBO. There's a reason why you survived.
So, have you enjoyed watching these commercials?
I've enjoyed it very much.
Me too, but alas, everything has to come to an end. So I thought I'd close out with 3 very specific commercials. With the Christmas season only a few weeks away, I thought, why not close out with a few Xmas commercials? Now in the last
Holiday cheer all the way. Maybe not.
Now in the last video we covered a Radio Shack Christmas commercial, which showed just how pricey everything was. Well, here's another Christmas commercial that Radio Shack did, and it's not as expensive looking, but it has a very, if I do say so, kind of shallow feel to it.
A Christmas gift from Radio Shack.
Before Christmas, they claimed they were bored. But then I found Radio Shack's incredible selection of electronic games. He's rescuing the fair maiden with the K-Man game. She's exploring dangerous new worlds with Zack-Man. And with the alien chase game, he can do space battle with an opponent or by himself. There are more gifts if anyone's bored. I was!
Fascinating electronic games from $7.95 to $59.95. Only at
Make your
Radio
family go
Shack.
broke.
Exactly.
You have to buy them all.
Yeah, just... This commercial is interesting because it's almost like they're just flat out saying that the only way to make someone happy is to buy them the toy they want. And the way she says there are other gifts, it almost sounds like she's disappointed that they're focusing on these particular, but the moment they're like, we don't care, we want this, she then looks happy. Like, make up your mind, lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Commercialism.
At its finest. Literally, no pun intended.
And also in the last commercial video, we covered a few Ernest commercials. So I thought, why not show just one more for the season?
Ernest at Christmas?
Yes, and well, he's not saving it this year. This is another pretty good one, I think.
You know, Vern, times like this are so special. Like our relationship with those folks at ABC Warehouse. We can count on ABC Warehouse for those great low prices on name brand appliances, TVs, VCRs, and stereos that are the closest thing to wholesale and make living so much more enjoyable. Shall I card? What'll it be, Vern? Light or dark?
Now at ABC Warehouse, get this Ameritech Traveler Cellular phone for only $399.
That sounds really expensive, but my iPhone was way more.
But it's also funny how they just casually say, only $3.99.
$3.99 for a cell phone! Not $3.99.
Now,
$3.99.00.
and going back again to the Atari commercials, let's close out this commercials review video by looking at a commercial for what is considered to be the worst video game ever made.
Oh god.
The E.T. Atari game.
Of course it's a lab. Can you get more American?
E.T. in a midget Santa outfit.
Only from Atari. Made especially for systems from Atari. The video game that lets you help E.T. get home. Just in time for Christmas.
It sounds so wonderful.
From Atari.
And it's so sad because this video game failed hard. And I'm not the first person to say this. This is not new news. But this video game, it flopped so hard, it pretty much destroyed the Atari company.
Oh god.
Like, they went out of business pretty fast, and it's a lot of things led to it, but this video game was a huge part in it. You see, this game, Atari wanted to get an E.T. video game out fast, and the guy they hired, Howard Scott Warshaw, I believe, he had previously made the very successful Raiders of the Lost Ark Atari game.
Yeah.
And they gave him, because they want this game ready for the Christmas season after the movie had been a summer release.
Yeah.
He had only 5 weeks to make this game. Like, come up with a concept, design, and then build it. And it's, you have to see some gameplay of it, but it was an immensely frustrating game. It just crashed and burned so hard. And watching this commercial is funny now, knowing just what would happen.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad commercial. Very Christmassy, very nice, kind of sweet.
Very sweet.
And
Warmed my heart.
yeah. And when you play the game, it's just gonna rip it out. So that's been our commercial saga with part 1 and part 2. Enjoyed the experience?
Of course. As always. Because it's with you.
It's been a lot of fun, and might do this again sometime, hopefully in a more summer setting, and hopefully we'll be around next week, depending on how our schedules go. I'm Jake.
And I'm Christine.
And see you later.